Okay. At this video, we are going to keep on talking about subnetting. You know, in one of the previous video, we tried to subnet this address, you know, network address. So what is going to happen? Your boss, you know, comes to you and tells you, hey, I'm going to make a new company. There are 50, 30, 80, 20, 126 employees. We have almost 130 employees, and I want to have, you know, they are in different departments. In sales department, you have 20. In service, we have 20 personnel. And here is administration is 50, and their management and reception is about 6 PCs, you know. Okay, the boss comes to you and say, I want to have a network like this. You have, you know, you have to do the subnetting that it actually has 4 you know, subnet ID, because each of them, you know, this is the router, okay, the router, and these are the switch. Okay, what you do, you connect these computers to switch. There are 50 of them here, and there are 20 of them here, and there are 30 of them here, and there's 6 of them there. Host, you know, we call it host. And then what happens? He says that the maximum, the number of the people in administration, or more than, which is more than any other department, we have 50 personnel. So you have to have 50 PCs there that they will connect to each other. They connect to each other. They will, you know, the administration department can talk to sales department, and sales department talk to the service department. You know, it's just like a company, you know, a car company. Okay, it sells the product, and it all do the service. You know, they get the repairment and sell. So it says that do this subnetting for me, your boss, you know, say, for network here, and in one of them is 50 personnel. So what you do, you know, I showed you a table. I showed you a table that the top part is host, and the bottom one is, the middle one is subnet, and the bottom one is binary. Okay, you come, and this is class C, okay? Class C. In the class C, start with 192 up to 233. You see the number here. It shows that it's class C. Just 128 to 191 is going to be class B. So it's come to you to say, hey, I want 4 subnet, because it gives you the network. This is the network address, and they give you this, and they want you to subnet for that. For each department, they have every employee, every host has its own, you know, IP address, has its own IP. As you know, that IP address, you know, it's every computer has to have an IP address, and that's why they identified this way. They identified this PC. You know, this device has an IP address. Okay, let's go into a more detail. See what is going to happen. that you have this table, okay? You have this table. For class C, you have this table, and for class B, there's some more. It's continuous 2, 4, 8, up to another 8-bit. You know, these are numbers. There, the second, it's gonna be 512, and then so on and so on, up to 65,000. So now we are talking about class C. So it tells you, hey, we need 4 subnet. There are 4 different departments, and you see the maximum number of the hosts in the Department of Administration. So you have to have 64. Here, 64 hosts. See, you want 4 subnet ID and 64 in each subnet. If you multiply 4 by 64, you know, 256. It's gonna actually, you know, it's gonna be 255 IP address. The first one goes for network. The last one is going to go for broadcast ID. And okay, we will talk about this later. So what's going to happen? You say they tell you you have 4 you know, 4 network here, subnet work. Because you're subnetting this, and so you see that 50, there are number of 50 here, so there are 50 hosts. The maximum, you know, the number of the hosts is 64. So if it's like 70, you should have used this one because it's more than 64. It's even 65 hosts in one of the, you know, subnet. Then you have to use this one because it's more than 64. But if it's about 33, you have to use this one because it's more than 32. But it's 31, you can use this number of the hosts for this one. So what you do, you see you have 4 subnet and 64 hosts in each subnet. And then we came through this procedure and wrote the table. And you know how we wrote the table. We say, hey, this is the line we draw that, and this is binary. You see that 2 of these are in the left side of the line that which divide, that shows you that you need 4 subnet. This is each subnet number, you know. I will soon explain what that mean. If you get this point, then you will be ahead of, you know, your time. So it says that you have 64 and 4 subnet. So what you do, you look at the number of the hosts and start from 0. This is start from 0, and then you add 64, the number of the hosts, and then you write 64, and then there is another. Okay, this is number 1 subnet. Subnet number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. See, there are 4 subnets here. There are 4. So you have 4 departments. And each subnet, it has subnet ID. There are some hosts in it. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, suppose that number 1. Number 1 is suppose is this one. This is number 1. Okay, you know that this is a network because router divide these 2 different networks. So this is the number 1. This is what? Service department. So it has 30 PCs. So what is that? You know, I mean, this is number 1, and this is number 2 subnet ID, number 3, number 4. So what is what you are talking about is that the subnet number 1, which is service, it has 30 PCs in it. So, but this one, it gives you about 62. You know, you can use 62. Even you can raise it up to 62. Actually, start from 192.11.52, because this is for gateway. We talk about it soon now, and up to the last host is going to be number 62. So what is happening here? The first computer here, or host, it could be, you know, host could be anything, any devices that send and receive information. So the host, the first, there are 30 of them. So it starts from actually 192, okay, 111.50, okay, 11.50, and then you ignore this one. This one, for we keep it for gateway. So it's a start from 50.2. You have to assign these computers. There are 30 computers, and when you see together the last computer here, the IP address is going to be 192.11.50, and then it's going to be 32. So the last computer or device in this department, which is a service department, you know, this is a service department. The first IP address for you know, for this computer start from, there are 30 of them. The first one is the 192.11.50.2, and the second one is 192.11.5.3, and so on up to 32. Okay, now you see that what is the IP address for this? What is the IP address? Because you have to show it, you know, let me show you insider notation. You know, you have this one. Okay, we know this is service, okay? Yes, service. Now we made the subnetting. Now these IP addresses all here, they have a insider notation, which is, see, in class C, the default, okay, he's here. The default mask is 255.255.255.0, okay? And the default mask. But when we got to the subnetting, the custom subnet mask is different now, because what happened, we borrowed, there are 2 bits we borrowed. See, when we find out that we have 4 networks and 64 hosts at least in each subnet, then we draw the line, and here we write 00 a binary number, which is, you know, that was 2 to the power of 7 to the power of 6, and then, you know, it means like 128, 120, 64, and then 32, this is 32, and 16, and so on. So what we did, the new IP address, you know, I mean, each of these computers now, you show the IP address, and you show this way in a insider notation. It's actually, it's going to be, see, 190, that one, the first one is going to be 0.2, then 0.3, but the insider notation is 26. Now there are 26 1 are used, because here, see, in regular custom, the default subnet mask, there are 255, 255, 255, okay? And then now we have 2 here, 2 bits borrowed. There are 8 bits here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bits, okay? as we talked about it, these are all one. So if you add all this together, you're going to get 255. Means if this is 128, and this is 64, and this is 32, and this is 16, and so on. 8, 4, 2. Okay. Oh. So, if you add all this together, 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2, you're going to get 255. So, it's all ones. But here is only 2 1. Okay, we have 128. 64 is going to be 190. So, 192, I'm sorry. 192 is going to be 192. Actually, this is the last subnet ID. This is, see, every subnet here, let me explain to you that this is the, for example, this one, number 2 subnet. The subnet ID for number 2 is 64. The first host for the subnet ID number 2 is 6.65. The last host is 0.126. And the same for subnet number 3. See, these are the limits of all first host and the last host. See, and the number 3, the subnet number 3, the first host is 0.129. I mean 0.129, it means like 192, 11.5, 0.50, 0.129. These are all 192, 11.5, and that's why I use this one. That I don't have to repeat the first 3 numbers here. So what happened? Okay. So, and then in the later, we are going to give you an example of this and do it what we Cisco packet transfer. You have to assign all these to computers, to PCs, to whatever it is, laptop or any devices here. Even printer, you assign. Okay, now supposedly, okay, let me finish for this one, number 2. Number 2, the subnet ID is 0.16. It's the subnet ID is the network ID is 192.11.50.64. Okay, but the first host is gonna be 0.60. We don't use that the first host for the PCs because okay. Let me go back to this. Explain this one. See, why it started from 0.2. It started 192.11.50.0 as a 0.2 because we say in the gateway that we will talk about it soon that there is a actually IP address for the router. It's this one. You use the first one, the first host of this subnet for this one, and for the second one is we use the first host for the second one for this one, 192.11.50.65, and then we start from the first host. The first host is going to be 192.11.5.66. Okay, and then it start the 50 of them is going to be the last one, the last device. The IP address is going to be 50 plus 66 plus 50. Okay, 116. 116 is going to be the last host in this the number 2 network. Okay, the last one is going to be this one. Okay, so the same for this one. The same for this one. We write the gateway is 192.111.50, and then 129, because you know even the first one, the first source is always allocated for the gateway of this, and the same for this one. This is going to be the gateway. These are the gateway, and the gateway for the number 4 is going to be 192.111.50.94, 0.93 for the gateway. But for the computers here, the PCs, it starts from 0.94. It starts from 1.94 up to, 1.94, 192.11, 0.5, 0.50, 0.1, and 0.194 is going to be the first host, and then it has how many? It has 8. It has 6. So it's going to be, the last one is going to be 200. There's 6 hosts. The last host point 200. Point 200 means 192.11, 0.11, 0.50, 200. So we assign all these computers to an IP address with CIDR notation there. So these are the things I hope I could explain. So you got sometimes you say that, hey, these are numbers are different. Okay, we want more subnet, and we don't have we don't have more than 20. You need to draw the line here. If you have 8 subnet, it means this one is continuous. 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, number 0.8. Okay. Sometimes here, suppose here, we change this number here. It's not more than 32. Okay. This is going to be 28. And that is going to be 20, okay, and that is going to be 6, is the same. So you said you have at every host you don't have to have 64. So you choose this one. You have more network, 8 network now, and in each network 32. So you look for these to see that all these here less than 32 hosts, okay. So you choose this one, and you have 8. You had 8 of these, okay, and you have 8 of these. Supposedly we change this one. There are 4 more switch, and then actually there are 4 more. For example, usually we do it in many different ways. Some of them connected to a router. Each department may be connected to a router, and then at the end the routers get connected to each other. So here we could have 8 of them, 8 of this subnet, and then you have to subnet it for 8. So if the number of the hosts in each, in 8 department you have is less than 32. So you use this one. You have more network. Sometimes you want to make another department, add it to it, or you can have 8 of them. So in general, anything you want, it depends on the need of yourself. Something, and then when you have this one, you have now 3 ones here, because 128, 64, 32. Now, if you have 8. If you have 8 of those 8 networks, so what's going to happen? It's a 192. This is not anymore 192. The 192 plus 32, okay, 224. See, now the the new custom subnet mask for this one, for 8 network subnetwork. You know, this is the custom subnet mask for this, and these are all. So you know, there are. I hope you got the point. So what we did, we assigned the first host on each subnet. There are 4 of them here, assigned to gateway. Gateway is something that if you want to send information, okay, from a host here to a host here, see, it has what we talked about, that you know, the only thing this host knows is the IP address for this one, and then through the ARP they can get MAC address, and then we go. I mean, first of all, it send a message to the all here. I'm looking for this address, like for example, this is 192.11.50.30.130. This is the. If you want to send a message, it knows, because if you want to send a message to somebody, you have to know the name of the person. So this way, what you do, what it does, you know, first of all, this switch send all the information to other PCs here. It said can't find it. This IP address that is looking for this computer, and then you go through the router. You give the IP address for the router, and the router is go through the many. You know, sometimes you want to get in touch with Google. You know, Google. There are many. How many hundreds? You know, maybe routers. It has go through until it gets to Google. You know, all these. Also, we talked about the fiber optic. They are all connected. If you know, want to talk to Google, you have, like it's in America, Google. Then somebody in the Middle East, or you know, they have to. You have to use those fiber optic cables. You know, pass through the oceans and the lands and until it gets to your country. So it's so what happened, and then this IP address goes through here, and then this one, and then it send the information to other you know, interface connected to this. That I'm looking for this address 130, okay, and then as soon as you find that, say, hey, I am 130, when it said ARP, you know, and then this one said, and they learn that this is the routing table. This is the IP address for the router, and all this. So through the. So that's what it gets into it, and then they send the information back to where the client is. Okay, the client was what? Ask for the information, server give the information.